My name is Jay, and today we're going to be looking at my personal pick for the top 10 animals in Planet Zoo. Now, I've been wanting to make this video for quite a while. I've got a chance to play with most of the animals, well, not most of them, I've put in quite a few hours into the game at this point, and I have played with pretty much all animals in the game. And today I'm going to be ranking the top 10 habitat animals. I'm not going to be including the exhibit animals, which are the smaller ones you keep in their little tanks. And we're going to be looking at them kind of based on design, their accuracy to the real world, and their value to the genre of kind of zoo simulation games. And this is going to be quite a fun video, I think. We're going to be looking at 10 of them. You gotta remember, this is all my personal opinion. You guys might have an entirely different set of animals you prefer, which is entirely fine. All the animals in the game are absolutely beautiful and I love them. This is just a list of the 10 which I think stand out a little bit more than the others. And without further ado, let's dive into it. Starting off at number 10, we have the reticulated giraffe. Now, the reticulated giraffe is a staple of the zoo management game, and also a staple of zoos in real life. They're kind of everywhere. They've been in Zoo Tycoon 1, Zoo Tycoon 2, all the, various rip-offs like Wildlife Park and stuff like that. They're just everywhere, and for good reason. These are animals that are great in captivity, and they just do really well, especially for a charismatic megafauna, as, in inverted commas. People tend to think they don't do the best in zoos, but this is an example of one that, thrives in captivity and does really well. And as a staple of this genre of game, I had to include it at number 10. And also because the version we have in Planet Zoo is absolutely beautiful. The skin textures and the patterning is done really, really well. And you can see this reflected in the real world. If you compare them side by side, it is pretty much spot on, really. Down to the tiny details like the eyelashes and the long tongue. These are all present in the game and they're just really beautiful. At number 9 we have the Japanese macaque. Now this is an animal I've really wanted to put in ever since I first played with it. I think it's a brilliant addition. The Japanese macaque isn't particularly well represented in zoo games, and I think it's brilliant to add it here. And it's beautifully designed, it looks really good. The fur textures are great, especially when they get in the water and they get wet. They look exactly how they do in real life when you see them in hot springs, which I believe isn't actually a species-wide thing. It's only certain populations that happen to live near hot springs that enjoy that whole experience. But yes, they're a brilliant animal in the game. The climbing animations, I'll touch upon this more in later editions, but the climbing animations, the whole procedural climbing system, it is brilliant. It may be a bit glitchy here and there, but I think for, first run of something like this that we've never really seen before, it is brilliant and I am super happy with this animal. At number 8 we have the Formosan black bear. Now this bear is again an animal not very well represented in zoo management games. We've seen other versions of bears, we've seen grizzly bears in every zoo game there is. But the Formosan black bear is not one I've personally seen before. It may have slipped through the cracks here and there into 1 or 2 zoo games, but I personally haven't seen it. It's a great looking bear. I don't really have an awful lot to say except I love playing with it as an animal because of how unique it is. I love the patterning you've got on the chest here. It is honestly just a really gorgeous animal. The fur has been designed really well. They're pretty round boys, if I do say so myself. They are round, and that makes them amazing and adorable. And yeah, not much to say about this one, but it does open the door to other similar bears to eventually end up in the game, like sun bears, which would be really cool. At number 7 on the list we have the red panda. Now you wouldn't be too surprised for me adding this, I'm pretty sure most of you will have this on your list. The red panda is adorable. It's common in zoo games but never this cute, I don't think. It's absolutely adorable. I love its climbing behavior. It spends most of its time in trees in real life. In the game, my only nitpick is that they don't spend as much of their time in trees, but I completely understand that. If they were in trees all the time, you wouldn't really want to play with them as much because you wouldn't see them. But when they do climb, it is really cool to watch. And the coloration is so vibrant and so distinct from a lot of the other animals in the game, with I believe only one other animal having as distinct a red coloration in their fur, which coincidentally is actually our next spot, so let's get over to that one. At number 6, we have the Bornean orangutan. Now, this is an animal that's local to where I'm from, Malaysia, and it is a beautiful, beautiful representation of what is an amazing and majestic animal in real life. The orangutan is a perfect example of a critically endangered primate which has many captive breeding programs in the works. I've actually been to a few parks that do captive breeding programs. If you're ever in northern Borneo in Sabah, a state of Malaysia, feel free to check out Sepilok Reserve. It's a brilliant orangutan reserve. They do really good work there. And within the game, it is really good. It has great behavior. You can tell with these males how they love to just kind of sit around and, nibble on twigs. All of their behaviors, they're just so realistic, and I absolutely love how well they gel together. One nitpick that I might have with the orangutans is that the males, all of them have these big cheek flaps, whereas in real life it's only the alpha males that have those. I'm not sure if there are males in the game which don't have the cheek flaps, so I might be wrong about that. But if I am, let me know in the comments. Either way, brilliant animal, brilliant representation in the game. Five, we have the Siberian tiger. Now, this animal is incredibly detailed in the game, and the fur textures are brilliant. This is one of the least represented of the big cats that are currently in the game. We don't see them very often in zoos and in zoo management games, so to speak. However, it is quite a significant animal to have, I think, in the game, because it has the most significant captive breeding program in real life out of any big cat. There are so many captive breeding programs, and in fact I believe in some parts of Korea they're thinking of reintroducing all these animals into the wild because I believe they're not as prevalent as they used to be, and I think that's brilliant to have in a game like this which is so focused on conservation. An animal which has a great track record of captive breeding, so perfect addition. And as a bonus, the babies are the chunkiest. They're so cute and their fur is so dense. It's amazing. They look great in the game. At number 4, we have the Indian elephant. Now, the models in the game are so true to life. I've seen a lot of these in real life because they are the elephant of choice in zoos around my area. They're majestic in real life and just as majestic in the game. Unfortunately, this is what I was talking about earlier with the large charismatic megafauna which tend to do poorly in zoos. Indian elephants don't do the best in captivity, which is why I wouldn't put this any higher on the list despite it being an amazing animal in the game. But the game does have such a strong focus on conservation and welfare of animals when you look at the enrichment options available for the elephant and how much the game pushes the education about the species and what kind of state it's in the wild. I think that excuses it to an extent, and really it is just a really cool animal. For example, when it comes to the skins and stuff, it's so realistic. When you look at the faces down to the trunks and the eyes and the eyelashes, with these colours that you wouldn't expect if you didn't really look at these animals, like these little flecks of salmon and pink down the trunks and these dark, deep red eyes, which are beautiful, and their long eyelashes, and the little tufts of fur in their tails, and I could go on. This is a beautiful animal, well worth its spot on this list. And coming up to our third spot on this list, we have the Chinese pangolin. This animal truly deserves this spot. It is beautiful and adorable. It is so cute. The scales on this animal are so well textured in the game. They look brilliant. And I think this is a quintessential example of a perfect animal to have in this game. It's critically endangered, unfortunately, but captive breeding programs are important for the survival of this species. They're not very well represented in other zoo games. A lot of people in the world don't even know they exist, but they're one of the most threatened animals out there because people hunt them for their scales, for food, for a lot of different reasons, which are all kind of ridiculous. You know, please don't hunt pangolins. They're the best. And they've got these adorable animations in the game. I must say they're probably a lot more active in the game than they would be in real life, but that's just how the game works. It's not a fault on their part at all. And yeah, it's a brilliant animal. I'll put in a couple examples of a really cute animation they do when they scratch up against a scratching pad, and it is adorable. And now we're coming up to our penultimate spot with the pygmy hippopotamus. The cutest chunks we have in the zoo. They are beautiful. They managed to squeeze the magnificence of a full hippopotamus into a smaller and arguably cuter package. They've got great track records in captivity in the real world, they have a longer lifespan, and they have a really excellent breeding program going. In the wild you don't often actually see them because they're nocturnal and they live in the forest, so they're not really observed very often. Obviously within the game they're out and about a lot more, but I have to say I'm a little bit biased. I put them this high on the list not just because of the value as an animal, but because they're just so darn cute. They are so lovely and I just have to have them in all the parks I have. And finally, at number 1, we have the gharial. Now this is probably a bit unexpected. Most people probably wouldn't put the gharial as high on this list as I did, being the number 1. But I think they're the most beautiful animals we have in the game. This unique body plan and head shape and the gorgeous detailing on each individual scale really stand out. And for a game like this, them being a critically endangered animal that does well in captivity with successful breeding programs, that is absolutely perfect, not just for zoo games but zoos in real life. They're a great example of an animal that, even though is critically endangered, can recover because of the great things that good zoos do. The animations in the game are excellent, and honestly it's my favourite just because of how weird it is. It's weird and beautiful and has an inherent value to the genre as a whole, and I really enjoy it in the game. It may not be the most active of animals to watch, but it's still just quite lovely to have there, sitting there looking all beautiful, you know? It's a really brilliant animal. I do have a fondness for reptiles, so I may be quite biased when it comes to this one, but yeah, they're amazing, and I hope you enjoy them as much as I do. And that brings us to the end of our list. Please leave your comments down below if you agree with this, if you have your own top 10 list, what do you think should have made it in, what do you think is not. I would eventually say I would make a top 10 worst list, but the thing is, I love almost all the animals in the game, so that might be a bit tricky for me to do. But yeah, I've had loads of fun making this video. I hope you all have enjoyed it. If you like this sort of content, like and subscribe. I'll be continuing my current sandbox park build sooner than later. It's Boomy Reptile Sanctuary, probably put up another episode early next week. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!